Welcome to Afternoon Express with me, Palisa Dembe, and my amazing co-host, Zoraida Jardine. Now, research shows us that loneliness is on the rise and that a lack of human connection can be more harmful than your health, then obesity, then smoking, and even high blood pressure. So tonight, we'll be exploring the importance of human connection with clinical psychologist Slindile Mbata, and then we're cooling off with the South African under-18 ice hockey team. And of course, we're also going to be checking up with a young scholar that is doing a 109-kilometer charity ride on a unicycle. But first up, let us welcome back clinical psychologist Slindile Mbata, who will help us understand the importance of human connection and how these connections impact our emotional well-being. Welcome back to the loft, Slee.
Hi, Vali. Thank you for having me once again.
It's so important to have you on conversations like this because when you think of the month of February, people think of the month of love, whether it's family love, intimate love, or just connections with a pet or a furry friend. So when we look at the human connections, what is that and what is the importance of it?
Right. So human connection really is about the relationships that we have or the bonds that we form. And when we talk about that, we really want to think about the quality of the relationships as well, not just the quantity that you have. But these are so important because it really gives us a sense of who we are. I mean, we think about it, we even incorporate connection into language that we use. We say our nearest and dearest, you know, our loved ones. So it's really a very important part of who we are as human beings. And
it's also even more important, or rather you see its importance, in when people put in their bios, yes, I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter. And that completely speaks to not only your role in other people's lives, but just that connection. And how then does that then, Slee, affect or communicate to our overall well-being?
Well, it is very, very important for overall well-being. You know, we're not just talking connection with others around us, but it's first and foremost, I think, a connection with yourself that you have. So the way that it relates to well-being is that, in general, people who are well-connected tend to feel happier. They tend to feel more supported, more loved. You know, I mean, think about what happens if something really big happens during your day. The first thing most people want to do is, it's like, I need to tell somebody. So it really, that sharing aspect of connection is so important to who we are. So the more of these quality connections that we have, the better we function as human beings, the more resilient we are as well, because we feel that we belong somewhere, yes, and that we can share our victories and our struggles with people who can support us.
Trust me, I'm one of those. I cannot live life by myself. I'm always like, babe, you won't believe what happened. But we do live in a digital age. So a lot of people aren't able to have those physical and those human connections that we're speaking about. So how does then those connections digitally and online affect and contribute and influence how we form and maintain those human connections?
Right. Well, I mean, the online world is a bit of a double-edged sword. There are a lot of positives to the fact that we have social media, and it allows us to connect more easily with people than we ever have been able to before. So the fact that we can share our lives so easily, share our joys, our graduations, the ceremonies that we have, that's the really lovely aspect of it, and that we can do it quite easily and, you know, relatively cheaply too. Yeah. The downside of that is that, you know, it can also, we really need to be careful about it because it can take us out of other real-world connection. So we need to not be too distracted with the online, but I think that we can use online really to enhance what we have as a person-to-person
As to face-to-face. I love that. But on the other side of the coin, unfortunately, globally, stats have shown that between the ages of 18 and 30, that age group and that age range has the highest likelihood or highest statistics of suicide. And I can only attribute that or think to attribute that to isolation. So what advice would you have to people who are feeling isolated in a certain space or certain time of their lives?
Sure. Well, you know, isolation doesn't just have to do with the fact that you don't have people around you. You can feel quite isolated and lonely lonely, even if there are people with you. So the first thing I'll say is that it's very important to recognize that you're not the only person who is having these feelings, and it's really important to reach out. Yeah. You need to tell somebody if you start to feel isolated, if you can see yourself withdrawing more and more. The irony of it is that once you do isolate, it feels safer and safer and easier just to stay there, just to kind of close the doors and stay away from everyone. So I think if you have that one person, it doesn't need to be many, it's just the one that you can send kind of your signal to, your go-to person. And if you can't speak to people around you, that you really seek help if you start to notice that, you know what, my isolated feelings are actually, they're starting to distress me now.
They're growing, but we do tend to put a lot of importance on human connections. But what other connections are we able to enjoy?
Sure, so I think this is the fantastic thing, and I'm so looking forward to all the things that you have on today's show.
Yes.
But the connections that we can form as human beings, we can relate to objects, we can relate to activities. So we can form a connection through music and the emotions that music gives us. You know, some of us need to cry to an album to get things out, and some of us, you know, it's like you want to celebrate and you want to hear your favorite song. So the music is really great. Animals are another really great point of connection. They just give that unconditional love. And, of course, our connection to food and how we gather around food.
Love that. Well, as we are building and connecting as people, we thank you so much, Silindile. But you're not just here for this conversation. We have you throughout the show to be able to continue to build and expand on this topic of connections. I love it for us. Now stay tuned, Mzansi, because Uslindile will, as I've said, be providing some key tips that you can implement to avoid the feeling of loneliness and isolation. But on social media, we would love to know from you, on a scale of 1 to 5, how important would you say human connections are? Leave your comments, and please do remember to use the hashtag Afternoon Express on all of your comments. Again, please do stay tuned because we have more conversations coming up after the break.
Thank you. Can I get that link up, please? Welcome back. In the intricate connection between bodies and our minds and the food that we consume, recognizing the subtle signals that certain foods may not agree with us is essential for maintaining our health and our well-being. In fact, it's estimated that over 2/3 of the global population suffers from lactose intolerance and may not even know it. Isn't that incredible? Here to help us identify the signs and the symptoms is registered dietitian Tracy Yugachin. Welcome to Afternoon Express. It's so lovely to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Tracy, you were telling me earlier on that you were lactose intolerant for many years and never knew that.
Yes.
How does one get to know?
So I think, you know, very often we just assume that it just could be that we're overeating or maybe the food that we're eating is unhealthy. And yes, there are many foods that can cause bloating and cramping and all the symptoms that go along with lactose intolerance. So often you just think that it might be one of those causes, and it just could be the simple little, or the little devil or culprit, lactose.
So what is lactose intolerance?
Right. So all dairy that we consume and milk itself contains a sugar called lactose.
Okay.
So the body normally produces an enzyme called lactase.
Okay.
It behaves like a scissor, really. It comes along and just snips the lactose molecule and makes this then easy for the body to absorb.
Okay.
So what happens with lactose intolerance is the body is deficient of this lactase enzyme. So the lactose molecule travels all the way down to the bottom of the gut, the colon, and there the bacteria have a little party. They go and ferment on the bacteria, ferment on the lactose. And so what happens is gas is produced, causing all this flatulence, causing winds, causing bloating, and making one really uncomfortable. So the symptoms are not life-threatening, like it is with milk allergy, but it certainly is uncomfortable. I mean, you can imagine if you're in a sleek red dress, going out for Valentine's dinner.
With a preggy belly.
And with you have a preggy belly. I mean, if you start off with a milkshake, an hour later, you can be really uncomfortable if you're lactose intolerant, and that's not going to make for a good.
So you say the timeline is usually like an hour later?
It's anything between 30 minutes to 2 hours that you can experience symptoms.
So you were saying that you recently became aware of it. Would you say that you were unaware through the years or you weren't paying attention to your body? How did that awareness come into being?
So when we look at the causes of lactose intolerance, you can be born with it, or you can it can develop as you age. Most bodies stop making lactose from the age of between 2 and 5, and then your enzyme levels just drop. So I think with most people, like with myself, it just gradually I became more and more lactose intolerant and just didn't realize and just thought it was other reasons that I was so bloated. So
Can it be reversed?
Unfortunately not. There is no cure and you cannot prevent it.
Okay, so how do we live with it and mindfully so that we're not in pain?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to remember that with lactose, you have to know that be mindful of what happens after you've consumed a meal.
Okay.
And eliminating it is possibly the easiest way to actually resolve the problem.
Okay.
There are tests out there, but none of them are really reliable. They're quite cumbersome. So go to a dietitian, find out what is a safe way to actually remove lactose from the diet and still make sure that you're getting the essential nutrients, that you're getting in your calcium, you're getting your vitamin D, you're getting your protein, because that's what is what you find in your milk products. And the minute you remove it, you're going to be lacking all those essential vitamins. So do it mindfully and eliminate the lactose. And we've got products available now that make it so easy for us to do this.
Absolutely. So I want to ask you one more question because I kind of think my daughter's lactose intolerant.
Right.
Is it possible to be, for example, to have an allergic reaction to or lactose intolerance towards milk but not ice cream? Or is that impossible?
Yeah, so the main culprits in terms of lactose content is milk, but ice cream is way up there. And a lot of people have been cooling themselves off in this hot weather with ice cream. So ice cream, as well as all your frappes and frappuccinos and smoothies, all contain lactose.
They don't work,
And they don't work. So you can take a lactase enzyme to help you out when you're dining out or when you want to have those indulgences. But at home, keep to a lactose-free product if
Tracy,
you can.
thank you so much. If you experience nausea or bloating after consuming any dairy products, then you could be lactose intolerant. We have a QR code on our social media pages, which you can scan to find out more information. Clover has a wonderful range. It's called Clover's No-Lax range of delicious milk and yogurts that will allow you to enjoy dairy without that horrible side effect. So definitely give it a try and be free again.
Say goodbye to nausea and cramps and say hello to delicious freedom with No-Lax range of lactose-free milk and yogurt. Be free with lactose-free.
What an incredibly informative conversation. Thank you so much, Z. Now it's time to dive into a heartwarming discussion with Faustina Gardner, Managing Director of the Domestic Animal Rescue Group, who are dedicated to making a difference in the lives of animals and promoting a compassionate connection between humans and our four-legged companions. Welcome to The Loft.
Thank you so much for having me.
This is such an important conversation for me because I've always grown up with a pet, some sort of a pet, and I truly do feel its difference and its impact in my life. So what is that kind of connection between humans and any four-legged, I don't even say four-legged, it could be three, it could be two.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What is that connection between humans and animals, and how does that benefit both parties?
Well, I think just from a health standpoint, you know, scientific research has proven that cortisol levels go down when you have a companion pet. Also, blood pressure goes down. Mine's going down right now. And also, they've shown with research that the oxytocin hormone, we know it as the love hormone or the cuddle hormone. When you're gazing at your pet, looking into their eyes, there's this huge surge. And that also happens for the pets. So I think it's just this incredible connection, and there's this unconditional love, you know?
And I've definitely noticed that there is an impact on general society's compassion and empathy as a whole. And how does your connection to being whether a pet owner or just a pet lover, how does that contribute to your compassion and empathy?
I think the more we understand our own pet, the more we tune into their individual needs, we realize that these are sentient beings that have feelings and emotions. They can be depressed, they can be jealous, they can be unhappy, sad, excited, you know, and it just makes us realize that, you know, we just have to be compassionate to all living creatures. It's so important.
And you've got a little friend. Hey, baby. So who do you have, and what is his story?
This is Max. No, Maxie, you're not going away.
Maxie wants to run away. Hey, Maxie.
He says there's treats on the ground. So Max, there we go, my boy. Max was rescued from Hungberg. That's an informal settlement that we assist in Hout Bay. He was on the streets. His owner could no longer keep him, sadly. And he came to dog. Very stressed little boy. We're a big shelter, so you know, for his size, he was quite overwhelmed. His little jaw was chattering, and he was sort of on edge all the time. And his mom and dad came along looking for a companion. And they've just been so incredible with him. I mean, he's changed their lives and they've changed his.
And he is super active.
He is, but he's also super calm. When they do their meditation in the morning, he lies with them. I mean, he joined me for a presentation at Llandudno Primary School, and he just rolled over for every child to tickle his tummy, you know, the grade R's. And he was just, he just sort of, oh, I'm born to do this. Had his little bow tie on. So he's an incredible boy.
Okay, girls, so now I need you, Faustina, to get into my household because my fiancé and I have a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Baby Aliko has been asking us every opportunity he can get to have a little puppy. And I don't know. So can you please tell us what are some of the benefits of adopting a puppy or any type of pet from any institution, especially rescue houses, compared to buying them from other kind of fields? And also, what is that process? What does that look like?
Well, I think, you know, in your case, when you've got a really young child, you're right at home.
Yes,
now he's settling in. You've got to be careful with the rescue. You really need to make sure that dog, if it is an adult dog, has been assessed by a certified behaviorist, because one doesn't always know the history of a rescue dog, so safety is always at the forefront when adopting. If you're getting a puppy, just remember those little teeth are razor sharp. I've proof in the, my fingers, a little bit of chicken, didn't pay attention, and that little razor tooth nicked me. But it's lovely for a child to grow up with a puppy and a dog. And, you know, they reach that age where they understand, don't cuddle a dog, don't come up from behind, don't pull tails, don't pull ears. Then you know that your child is ready to take on, you know, having a little one in the home as a companion.
Lovely.
Yeah, but I mean, there are so many shelters out there. Of course, dog, we hope you come to us. But yeah, I think go to any reputable shelter and just follow the adoption process, and then hopefully they will find the right one for you or any families out there who are looking.
Is it quite rigorous?
Not really.
Okay.
We at Dog do, we do a home check. If there is a resident dog, we do pair that dog, so we're not just going to put a dog into somebody's home without establishing that the resident dog gets on. If there's a cat, we'll have done careful cat tests. But yeah, it's an exciting process.
So cute. Well, I cannot wait to start extending my family to building that connection with our four-legged friends. A big thank you to you, Faustina, and the entire team at Dog for the incredible work that you do. Now, do remember that the joy of adopting a pet from a rescue organization goes far beyond providing a home. It's about building a lifelong connection that benefits both you and the furry friend. Baby, come here. See you after the break. Come here, baby. Hi, Mo. Hey.
Welcome back. Now, loneliness is a universal human experience, and combating it requires proactive measures. Joining us now is clinical psychologist Slee, who is back to provide us with a few practical tips to help alleviate the burden of loneliness and that feeling of isolation. Slee, what is the difference between isolation and loneliness? Because it often gets mixed up and confused. Yes.
So isolation is really when you feel or you are removed from other people around you.
Okay.
Right? So it can be sort of being physically outside of the space of
So
people.
alienated, perhaps.
Perhaps alienated.
Okay.
Perhaps sometimes it's just, you know, you might isolate for certain reasons. You might feel overstimulated, might just need a bit of time alone. So you can kind of have solitude in a way.
Okay, so it can be a choice.
So it can be a choice.
So, like JOMO, the joy of missing out.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. So you can isolate, and it's JOMO, but for some people it can be the FOMO. The loneliness part, I think, comes in that it's this feeling that you are distressed by being isolated from other people. So there's something about being separated from other people, might be even in the presence of other people, but I subjectively feel disconnected from them.
Okay.
Right. So the loneliness aspect is that I feel somehow removed from people, but with the isolation, it can be, you know, a bit of a choice to kind of remove yourself.
You're explaining that so beautifully. So I want to ask you then, what would connection then mean?
Right.
What connection means?
Connection, in contrast with that, you know, connection is where you feel a meaningful sense of being bonded with people.
Yes.
So even if you are isolated, for example, you might still feel a very strong sense that you're connected to the ones that you love. So they may be far away, but you actually still feel a sense that I am bonded with them and I have meaningful relationship with them. Yeah.
I'm sure you agree that, you know, we can't remain victims in our lives, and we've got to be active. And so when we do find ourselves in these positions, we've got to do what we need to do. We've got to hack our health so that we feel good and we feel healthy. What are some of the tips that you encourage when it comes to feeling isolated, feeling lonely, having no control over it? What are the things that you can do to hack to make yourself feel better?
Yes, I mean, I'm glad you said that, because the point that you make is that it's going to take some effort.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes, the main thing I would say that really gets people into a state of feeling very, very lonely is that sometimes it's very difficult to reach out. So reaching out is incredibly important, and it's usually the hardest thing to do, to just say, hey, can you have a coffee with me?
Yes.
You know, oh, hey, I'm not feeling okay. Yeah. So the reaching out is incredibly important. And you can do that, you know, with, you can reach out as well via your social media. You can sort of reach out even go and visit people. Yeah. But I think it's very important to do the reaching out part. I also think it's very key, as another tip, to encourage socializing as much as you can. And by that, I also mean not only through the internet, via social media, but to do it in person.
Okay.
The in-person connection is very, very important. Also try connecting via, by being in nature. And not just, you know, sometimes it's connecting with other people, but feeling connected through nature is also very, very, I think it's a very healthy way to respond sometimes to not feeling at ease within oneself. But otherwise, I mean, it's very key things like developing an interest or finding out what your interests are. You know, if you used to play tennis a long time ago, if you really used to enjoy taking walks, get outside as much as possible and find something that you are interested in doing. I recently discovered tufting. A friend of mine found out about tufting online.
Tufting? What is that?
It's sort of like sewing, but you do it with a little sewing gun.
Oh, wow.
And then you create something that's like a tapestry, and you can hang it up. So things like that, where if you discover something, invite a friend, hey, let's go and try this.
Yes.
But yeah, I think just all of those together, connecting with nature, making the effort, and meeting people in person.
Yes.
That is key.
I love that. And, you know, if only we realize that reaching out and asking for help is such a strength and not a weakness. And that's why if you look at, you know, social media's got its ins and outs, its good and its bads. But one of the things that I really appreciate about social media are people that come on there and that are so beautifully vulnerable about not having it together. And those are the people that we connect with, because we realize then that we are more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And so reaching out and asking for help truly is a strength.
Absolutely. And you can find that even within your neighborhood, there are these interest groups that you know that you have. But that connection through social media really key as well.
I love that. I love joining a group. Thank you so much, Slee. If you or anyone that you know needs help, please do visit SADC's website, and you can find them at www.sadc.com, or you can contact their toll-free helpline on 0800 567 567. It's important that you take action if nothing is feeling good or that you're not feeling better. Get help.
Absolutely, Z. That is exactly what we're talking about. Connections. Not only connections with an intimate partner, not connections with your family, but we are also talking right now about connections in teams. Not only are we talking about connections with teams, but there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And with that being said, I would love to humbly welcome on the South African under-18 ice hockey team, who are about to take on a very huge feat. Gentlemen, welcome to the loft.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Coach, I have to start with you as the leader of the pack. How important is building and fostering that camaraderie, that passion, and that focus within your team?
Yeah, I think it starts with when you speak camaraderie. I will start there. I think it's more. It doesn't get fostered now. It gets fostered from a young age. I think the demand of the sport kind of like demands you know, resilience. It demands, you know, ice hockey skills, a big set of skills there. I think it's, and then when you speak about unity as well, I think with unity, we will say it's the diverse cultures, religions, backgrounds from the players that the team is made up of. And I think with that, we will say that, you know, it demands respect. So I think the team kind of like builds the respect from that because they know all the backgrounds and the diverse cultures that they come from. And with the respect comes trust. And with the trust, I think it kind of like gets that connection and makes the success of the team.
And that's exactly it. We tend to overlook that ripple effect that each principle has on the other. There's trust, there's respect, there's camaraderie, and then there's unity. Gentlemen, boys, you have made us proud. You guys have been playing ice hockey since the age of 5. Now, I can only imagine the effect it's had on your personal growth and, of course, your professional growth. How has being part of a team affected both of you, personally and as an athlete?
Not only does it help me grow as an individual, but also as an athlete, it instills valuable life lessons and teamwork, but it also pushes me beyond my limits and helps me, most of all, important, create friends around the world.
Lovely.
Being a part of a competitive sport has many positives. For me personally, it taught me like the importance of effective communication, discipline, and to respect everyone from all aspects of life, as I use that on ice and off ice.
Yeah. Now, first and foremost, having a sport on ice in South Africa is unheard of. When I found out that I was going to be able to talk to you guys, I was like, an ice hockey team, under 18, that speaks to exposure, that speaks to a certain level of privilege, but not only that, just being able to open up a space to a young group of athletes that just want to be professional. So I want to find out from you, Coach, how are you able to then continue to foster that resilience within your players, that team effort, and that connection within them, even through the most toughest of challenges and competitions like the one that you've got coming up?
Did you perhaps read our book? Because I think you mentioned something about resilience. And, and I think it's one of our overarching values that we kind of like installing at the moment with the boys. And also, one of the main things for that is we actually hold them accountable for that values. And we actually ask them, like, bring us 3 values. Every individual brings 3 values. And if you had to choose one of those values, and then collectively the team brings each value to the team, and then that connection of all those values just builds a stronger team, number one. And then number 2, it just helps with the, you know, the performance of the team in such a high level, you know. So I think the values that's connected together basically helps the team, you know, perform. And I think once you hold them accountable, each one of them, all of a sudden you'll just see the performance on a different level.
Absolutely, I can only imagine it. But there has to be some setbacks, there has to be some challenges, as in everything in life, especially within sports. So how do you gentlemen, Coach, you are more than welcome to feed into this conversation. How are you able to handle that and not let your teammate down?
I think it comes down to each player themselves, but also as your teammates, they come together with you. But I think it's a team's dedication, the unity, but most of all, our support system, which is our coaches, our staff, our fans, and our parents especially. We come together to rise above adversity, aiming for victory on the ice.
Yeah.
I try to keep a positive mindset when it comes to challenges. And as for setbacks, I use it as an opportunity like to learn and grow from that. And for an example, I broke my collarbone last year, 3 days before the tournament.
No.
Yeah, and all I could do from there is just go for surgery and come back stronger to support my team. So, yeah.
What then does that do for you as an individual? Being part of a team can only impact you. I mean, being part of the Afternoon Express team, I have to put my best foot forward. So how does being part of this team affect and impact you as a whole?
I think it's very important to understand what you mean in the team and what you can bring to the team. So if you can bring your best and your teammate can bring their best, you can only do your best. So I think that's very important to have a good team.
Yeah, like what the coach said now, bringing your values to the team and your models. Yeah, that's basically what we can do.
Integral. Any final words?
No, I just think everyone has to take the opportunity to kind of like watch the boys on the 4th to the 7th of March. I think we as the local organizing committee as well, and a big shout out to Jason Surf, which is our South African ice hockey president. He made it available now where this tournament specifically is free. And everyone can just kind of like be part of the action, I think, on the 4th to the 7th. And then on our socials, with Facebook as well as Instagram, South African Ice Hockey. That's exactly where you can find us and all the details.
Well, a round of applause to you, gentlemen, and all the best to the entire team. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mzansi, we'll see you after the break.
Back to Afternoon Express. Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Ethan Simpson, who's gearing up for an incredible challenge to ride his unicycle in the upcoming Cape Town cycle tour that is 109 kilometers on one wheel. Welcome, Ethan. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much.
So I have to ask you, I know that uni means one, right?
Yes.
So it means one wheel. What is a unicycle and where did it all start for you?
So about 3 years ago in 2021 during lockdown, I decided to pick up unicycling.
But why? Where did it come from? Who planted the seed?
Well,
or the wheel?
This is actually quite a funny story.
Tell us.
When I was at this one pizza store and this dad and his son came in.
Okay.
Oh, they're electric unicycles. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I looked online, like, it's pretty expensive. But then I scrolled down a bit on Facebook and I saw this unicycle. Like, that would be an awesome thing to learn.
Yes.
Why don't I do that?
And so you did?
Yeah, and then for the Cape Cycle Tour, my dad and I just started doing it as a memorial race for my parents' friend Axel.
Okay.
So I started doing it on tandem 3 years ago, and then last year I did it on a single. And then during that time I was already riding, so I thought it would be awesome to ride on a unicycle.
What an incredible story. So you were inspired by seeing the electric version,
Yeah.
and then what did you get that one on Facebook for yourself and then practiced on that and became really good?
Yeah, it was that one over there.
Can you show us how it works?
For sure.
Okay, cool. I guess I'd fall if I tried it, right? Especially with my heels.
You can try it out.
No. Not on live television.
So you want your pedals to be at that angle, because this is the dead position over here. If you like that, you're kind of going to fall off.
The what position?
This is the dead position.
The dead
So
position,
here you
okay.
can-
Okay.
So you always want to be in that position. So after each rev, you got to be there.
Okay.
And then
How long did it take you to stay on?
about probably a month.
A month? Okay.
Then to like fully learn it, a couple of more months.
A couple more months,
Yeah.
okay. So about 4 months in total?
Yeah, about 3,
Okay,
4
but you
months.
practiced?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay, and got better. I like that. Wow.
So,
Do you do tricks?
I've been doing
practicing
more
those.
touring recently,
Okay,
which is on this unicycle over here,
yeah.
which is the bigger wheel. And the bigger wheel is used for touring, as when you do one revolution,
Yeah.
you can cover more ground with a bigger wheel.
Okay,
than
that's
smaller.
that's jargon to me. What is a revolution?
A revolution's a 360-degree turn.
Okay, wonderful. So you are the youngest entrant, am I right, in the cycle challenge?
Yes.
And what excites you most about what you're doing?
It's just a cool adventure to go on,
Okay.
and it's a cool thing to say I've done, and also chalk and raising money for them.
Yes. So today's show is all about connection. And I absolutely love your story that you connected to a charity. Tell us about that.
So chalk, we started supporting them as a couple of years back my mom had cancer.
Okay.
And during that time, they were part of a foundation called Kids Can in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
And then when we moved down to Cape Town, we thought it'd be awesome to find something pretty similar to Kids Can. And we found Chalk, who does fantastic work for kids with cancer.
Kids Can.
Yeah, that's the one in Zim. We're doing Chalk here.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And now tell me, what are you looking forward to in the race? I mean, are you excited? Are you apprehensive? Are you anxious? What are the feelings that are bubbling in your tummy right now when it comes to the race?
I'm pretty anxious because I know it's going to be a difficult feat to achieve.
Okay.
But I know it's going to be awesome because there's lots of support going into it.
That's so wonderful. I have to tell you that all of us here on Afternoon Express are so proud of you. And for you at home, please let us know the message that you'd like to send to Ethan. You can do that on our social challenge channels. And in the meantime, we are crossing to Pali in the kitchen.
Talk about balancing your life, whether it is on the road or in the kitchen. Now, in a world with various dietary trends and fast-paced lifestyles, the essence of understanding how our food choices impact our overall well-being often takes a back seat. Now, I have food consultant Helene Meyer, who will be conversating and discussing the connection of food with us and our bodies, and to make delicious roasted tomatoes on a whipped feta and yogurt. This is a recipe that it's safe to say I've never tried.
It's very simple and easy to prepare, so I'm happy to show you what to do. Can I quickly talk you through it?
Dive straight in. Okay. I need it.
Okay, so these baby tomatoes were just roasted in the oven, and the beauty of a tomato is that its natural sweetness becomes more prominent when you roast them. So I'm going to make a quick marinade of a little bit of olive oil, balsamic vinegar, which is perfect with tomatoes, and fresh rosemary. And then while that is marinating, I'm going to do the whipped feta. And the other beauty is that roasted tomatoes have quite a lot of juice in them, and that becomes part of your dressing when they marinate. Lovely. So a few simple ingredients, but loads of flavour.
Helene, I have to ask you, I tend to avoid stems a lot, whether I'm dealing with rosemary or basil. Is that okay? Or the more flavour, the more stems?
Something like this marinade is going to become part of your plate. So then you don't want to chew on a big stalk. But if I was making a mince mixture, I would happily add the stalks for thyme, oregano, rosemary into the whole mince mixture, because it softens enough that if you do end up having it on your plate, you can move it to the side, but if you end up eating it, it's also fine.
Okay.
So in this case, I'm not using it, but otherwise, yeah,
and Helene,
no
something
problem.
that I've definitely battled with is balancing healthy lifestyles, but also indulgence, and just satisfying my taste buds and my body. What role does that both play, that connection with the body, but also a healthy lifestyle?
I think what's important to remember is that balance, as you said earlier, is the key. I always say to people, if you can follow the guideline of moderation and variation, then you can have your slice of cake, but just don't eat the whole cake. So you can indulge from time to time, but having that balance, I think, makes it possible for you to still be healthy.
Now, something for me that is so important is just being able to have the right ingredients. And what I definitely know is that you just put the feta in your blender, which means I need to get
some yogurt, please.
Some yogurt in the fridge. And this yogurt is just going to add the creaminess that we need in your dressing of this delicious, delicious meal.
Yeah. Something else to remember is that feta is quite salty by nature. So I am going to season the tomatoes with some pepper, and you could add a little bit of pepper to your whipped feta as well, but don't be tempted to add a lot of salt to your dish. That's not going to be necessary.
Just like that. I mean, on my side, I'm just going to create the base as you whip everything up. Oh, there we go. That is what we are talking about. So I have put a base on, and I'm adding some basil on the top. And as soon as you're done with your ingredients and everything, we're able to put this together.
Yep.
But I want to ask you, how can we attribute a good diet to a good body and mind?
There's something called gut health, which is quite critical in terms of your mind and your body. And without going into too much detail about that, the principle is if it's healthy here, it helps you to be healthy here and healthy here. So then it's a holistic approach. And people often don't understand that what goes on inside your system has an effect on so many other aspects of your life. Sometimes it's easy to sort of understand that indigestion or headaches are caused by what you eat, but people often forget that all of that is what happens in your gut. And by eating fresh and natural and as unprocessed as possible, you can help your gut to, in the end, keep your whole body and your mind healthy as well.
Intact. Well, let's put it all together as you continue to whip it up. This is what we're talking about, not only human connections in Zanti, but we're also talking about the connections between body, food, between our furry friends and ourselves, and making sure that we are well-rounded continuously. So as we do put this together, can I just get, I think I'm ready for your roasted tomatoes.
Yep. With pleasure.
And then I will dish that all up. And at the end of the day, this is what we are looking for. A balanced, nutritious, but deliciously looking meal. At the end of the day, we've got our rosemaries, we've got our tomatoes, basil, and of course, our delicious mixture.
And on a hot day, like the weather we've been having lately, that is such an easy, light meal to have.
Yeah.
It won't be your main meal, but it's also much healthier than another packet of crisps that you open up before a braai, for instance.
Absolutely.
So over the summertime, that is absolutely delicious. And people can just tuck in with small pieces of bread or have it just like that in a small bowl with a teaspoon, packed with flavor.
And voila! Last tips and tricks between adding that balance that we so desperately need between body and food. I mean, a lot of people also speak about gut health.
Yeah, and I think one thing that will help a great deal is if people can learn to avoid all the processed and convenience foods that's so easy to, you know, rely on. Exactly. So if you can rather, as I call it, cook from scratch and cook at home, then you know what goes into your food. I mean, what we just prepared, yes, the tomatoes were roasted, but it's not complicated, it's not expensive ingredients, but there's so much flavor because you're utilizing the natural ingredients characteristics
that are in it
with different cooking methods to bring out the flavor, and there's no artificial elements in there that's harmful for your body. So keep it fresh, keep it natural.
Keep it fresh, keep it natural. That is what we're all about. If you want this recipe, please do head over to afternoonexpress.co.za. We'll catch you after the break, because now that we've eaten, I'm ready to jive.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
As a community in the Northern Cape, there's a lot of people that really struggle. We as pharmacists and the community pharmacists help a lot in helping them, especially where they can't get their medications from hospitals. Our staff is very professional in their duties. They help the people in a professional manner. They are very friendly. They try and make them feel as a family of the RNL group. Kuruman is more, it's a mining community and a farming community. So most of our customers are from the mines and from farms in the area. I'd love a customer to walk in here and feel he's a friend of mine. You know, you must feel free. Don't be shy or anything. You can come and talk to me and I'll help you.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram, OTC, sponsors of Brave. Inspiring communities, one pharmacy at a time.
We've been long in the game, healing South Africa one allergy at a time. All the sneezing, runny nose, itching of nose and throat, we've left no stone unturned. Until finally, South Africa recognized us. You've given us the courage to continue to do what we do best. Live, work, play, sleep allergy-free with Allergex Non-Drowsy. Ask your pharmacist for the full allergy range. Brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave. Welcome back. Now connecting to music is one of life's biggest pleasures. And in studio, we have two legends from the South African rock and roll world. We've got Vox and Spand X. Fellas, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
How funky do these gentlemen look? Now, gentlemen, we've been speaking about connection. And if you're someone like me, I really do connect to music as an individual, whether I'm feeling down or up. So for you, gentlemen, how important is the connection between humans and music?
It's very important. We played here a few years back with the full band.
I remember.
With the Rockefellers. I'm still going strong, which is great. But we played lots of big festivals to large crowds, so the Vox and Spandex duo was kind of born out of the fact that we needed to engage with smaller audiences. So what we do now is we do a lot of corporate weddings and just more intimate birthday parties, that kind of thing. And when you're kind of in smaller audiences or with smaller audiences, they seem to kind of engage with you in a better way. So, yeah, that's what it's all about. And entertainment and fun.
It is all about entertainment and fun.
Last year, we even played to an opening of an envelope.
An opening to, as in a fully envelope.
Yeah. Small crowd. Small crowd.
I love that. No, I'm so here for it. But at the end of the day, as you say, a small crowd, big crowd, stadium, it's also all about the...
Sorry to interrupt, I'm just wondering, can you see okay?
I can barely see you.
There we go.
Oh, there you are.
That's
Thank
better.
you.
That's better,
Here we go. Okay, so now we're all part of this rock and roll group. All right. I can't believe you're wearing two sunglasses at once.
I'm wearing more than two.
A superstar at his finest. At the end of the day, though, you have been speaking about also performing with smaller audiences. How important is that connection between not only you as a band, but with your audience?
Look, for those who have seen the Rockefellers and Vox and Spandex, they know that we are all about fun, happiness, spreading joy.
Yeah.
For that little moment in time. And it doesn't matter of the size. For those who haven't seen us, I would say go see us. Simple. At your corporate, at your private party, or at a festival, because all we want to do is to create people sing along and laugh.
Lovely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Vox and Spandex with their rendition of the popular song Dancing in the Dark. Take it away.
Feeling the same way, and I ain't got nowhere delicious minds. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll.
Thank you, Sweden. You built this city on rock and roll. Come on here, my baby.
Well done, guys. That was amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That was so cool.
Not me feeling like I'm part of a rock and roll band.
You're definitely the third one.
Hey!
You got the glasses.
Talking about connections, we built the city on rock and roll, but not only did we build the city on rock and roll, we built it with love, connection, and music, gentlemen.
Love that.
Huge fan. Love your work.
Thank you.
Now that is a wrap. Please do catch us next Tuesday as we chat to celebrities, Ushantal and of course Ubokag. They are an incredible married couple and we love them. Remember to catch us on the repeat of this show on Sunday at 8:30 a.m.
Yes.
Absolutely. Good night.
S3.
Goodbye. Shab, shab, shab. Bye.
Say goodbye to nausea and cramps.